Hello, hello. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit today about the it girl, the popular girls, the it crowd, the in thing, right? And I want to talk a little bit about my own experience. I just had a bit of an aha uh, around this comparison, and we talk a lot about our old subconscious, unconscious, inner child kind of stuff all the time, right? And we meaning just like this online healing, personal growth development, entrepreneurial space, because these are things that do impact our overall success. And um, really what I have found in my own journey, as well as working with clients, that one of the biggest things that derails somebody from success, and this is in your career, like just a job, right? Businesses, relationships, friendships, the keeping up with the Joneses, having the best things, um, and really just wanting to fit in. It's one of our, deepest desires as humans, is we want to fit in, right? And we will do just about anything to in our current society. And it's something that can be really uncomfortable to deviate from the crowd, and to be the misfit, the black sheep, the person who largely doesn't fit in with everybody else. And another thing that had sparked this was I was at a family event this weekend, and my nephew, who is also a middle child like me, had made a comment about something, and I was like, well, that's actually pretty common, not saying middle child, like we always got the short end of the stick, but we tend to be oftentimes the one who feels like we don't fit in. And you don't have to be a middle child to feel that, but it had sparked that conversation again for me, the black sheep, the misfit, the one who doesn't fit in, and thinking back to my own childhood and like growing up, I can remember that desire to fit in, and I think we all have memories of some sort, but I can remember, and I'm not going to say her name here on a video, but well, I'll just say there was a girl in middle school. She was the it girl. I remember that she had this pair of spandex shorts, and I'm dating myself here, but puffy paint when I was in middle school was a very popular thing. So I remember she had these spandex shorts, and she had used puffy paint to write on her butt. And this was also when MC Hammer was popular. So the song "You Can't Touch This" was really big, popular. And she had puffy painted on her ass of these shorts, "You can't touch this." A sixth grader, mind you, a sixth grader. So I think at that age, you're what, 11 or 12? Um, and I mean, she was nice, she was beautiful. Everybody adored her, wanted to be friends with her, wanted to be like her. And like I was like everybody else, right? I wanted to fit in. And to be honest, at that age, I was very awkward. I was, in puberty. I had gotten my period when I was just 11 years old in fifth grade, and I really wanted to fit in, and I felt so different already just because of my own development, and then wanting to fit in with the it crowd. I wanted to be accepted, I wanted to be loved, I wanted to, you know I wanted to be the one wearing shorts saying "You can't touch this," and having everybody, wanting to be a part of my world. And I put her, and I put, this crowd on a pedestal. And then in high school, I did it too, but I remember in high school, I had my own little group of friends, and they were wonderful, and I'm still in touch with some of them. I actually went to Bali 2 years ago with one of my girlfriends from high school, and they were amazing friends. And like me, many of them were friends with the it crowd, but they weren't in it, and that was me. I was always the person who got along with everybody, who the it crowd, the popular girls, they liked me, they talked to me, but I didn't hang out, and I wanted to be inside their world. I wanted to be like them. I wanted people to look at me like them. And then as I went forward into, and I trust me, this is going somewhere, but I went forward into my career, and I had what many people would consider a successful career. But, if I'm being honest, it was fairly mediocre, really, in terms of like what I was doing versus what I know now that I was truly capable of. But again, it comes back to, and same thing, honestly, in school. But it comes back to I wanted to fit in. I thought I need to do this. I need to achieve this. And once I do this, people will like me more. People will accept me more. So I spent all of this time, and the whole point of this is growing up in my career, I would spend this time trying to be like other people, trying to fit into a mold, trying to fit in to what worked for other people in their businesses, in their careers, in their relationships, in their friendships, and how they acted, how they interacted with people. And I spent so much time and energy for so much of my life really like focused on vanity and what it meant about me if people didn't like me, what it meant about me if sorry, I'm getting emotional. I wasn't expecting that. But what it meant about me if I didn't fit in, if I wasn't accepted, if I wasn't loved. And in my business, it's been something that has really come up, and I'm sharing this because the thing is it's not just a me thing. This comes up for a lot of people, but we don't necessarily realize it's been something that's been going on for a long time. And I'm not here to say you need to spend, the next 3 years figuring out why and healing from any of that. Not at all. But it's just to see those parallels, the patterns throughout our life, and how they're presenting and how they're showing up. And for me and for many of you, it's we've put these people, these things, this life, these crowds, the you know having to achieve certain things and do things in a certain way, we put it on a pedestal. So now when I came into business, I saw a lot of these people that were making way more money than me. Like when I first started my business, all I wanted to do was make good money, to be able to travel, to work from anywhere. And if I could sustain that and support that, I was fucking, it was brilliant. It was like, that was all I wanted. That was amazing. And, then it was, okay, I want to do 10K months. I want to make six figures. And my income that I had been trying to make was ultimately about 75 to $85,000. Uh, so yeah, it was just like, okay, cool. I want to make six figures. I want to make 10K months. And I did that, but then it became not good enough because I saw people doing more. And it was like I started chasing all of these things because I started seeing other people having them and talking about it. And well, you need to invest. You have to have a mentor, and don't get me wrong, like I love my mentor, and I believe that it is extremely helpful for me to have that, and I do value it. But I wasn't, for a large part of my business, I wasn't investing from that. Like the first real coach, like high ticket thing I invested in, it very much was from my power. But then some of the subsequent investments were, I need this in order to get here. Oh, she says, when you invest in yourself, if you do this, you're going to do that. Or this person who I want to be like, they worked with this person, and they invested a lot of money, and look at them. And in fact, I can actually remember how I ended up finding one of my mentors that I had for several years was because someone who I followed, and I saw her as an it girl. We were in a networking group together as well. Um, and like we're both like co-hosts for, or not co-hosts, but hosts, hosted some calls. And I knew that she had had a lot of success in her business. She was very visible in the online space. A lot of people knew who she was. And I remember her posting something about, I just, invested, and she had invested 5 figures in herself for the first time, which is so ironic now to like think about that this woman is such a big deal, and she really is in the online space. And now it's just like if you're not charging 10K for or 15K for your one-on-one packages, you're, a failure. But back then, even someone who is very well known, making a lot of money, that was a big deal for her. And I remember her posting about it and me reaching out and just being like, ooh, well, who did you invest in? And what made you invest, and asked some questions, and she was very forthcoming, and she shared the person's info with me, and so I started following them, and subsequently I started, I invested in something small, then I invested in a group program, and it went up from there. But the point is the whole reason I had invested in that mentor in the first place was, yes, because I saw someone who was successful doing it, and that's great. But it wasn't because I was like, I'm seeking a mentor because I have this outcome that I want. It was because I saw this person who had what I wanted and they had made that investment. And it was like, ooh, well, maybe I need to do that. And that's how I do that. And again, putting this person, their lifestyle, their things, them on a pedestal. And this is such a common thing. And I see this in so many of my clients too. And it's where you're outsourcing your power. You're thinking that people, that things, that programs outside of you are the answer to you being that it girl. And again, I'm not saying don't invest in mentors because obviously I am one, right? I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I host retreats. And I think my work is valid and it changes lives. And but I also know that oftentimes someone doesn't need me. And I had a client just over the weekend, the Monday, who had messaged me, and I invited her to join something, and I was actually free. Um, but she just said, you know what? She had been kind of like thinking, yeah, this would actually be a good fit. We had been on pause for a little bit, hadn't been doing anything. And then she came back and she told me, actually, I decided I'm going to take the next couple weeks off, and I'm not going to get into her details there, but ultimately she said no, because I'm going to do this, this, and this. And that thing that she said she was going to do was so much in alignment actually with the work that we would have done in that freebie, but it was what I knew that she needed. And the freebie ultimately, yes. So is it going to lead to a paid program? Yeah. And if that feels aligned for her, great. But does she need to be in this program? No, because she's doing exactly what she needs. And I think, so many people are of the mindset of like, I just need to invest, invest, invest because they're seeking a result, but it comes from this worthiness. And this is why I believe many of you have gotten into debt, why you haven't reached why you aren't there yet, why you aren't where you desire to be, where you our struggle to really find that balance. And it comes back to worthiness, self-trust of knowing that you are the fucking bee's knees, that you're amazing regardless. You don't need a pair of puffy pants shorts that say you can't touch this in order for people to know that you're awesome. And the more you're outsourcing your power to other people, the more you're saying, I need to hire this mentor because this person had it, or I need this because of that. I need to do this because of that, rather than, you know what, I feel a fucking connection to this person and I feel like they get me. And this is why I think so many people, myself included, ended up in debt. In fact, I had debt that wasn't related to business, really, um, and had paid it all off, and then ended up back in debt. And here I am a few years later, and I'm still cleaning up that mess, if I'm being totally honest and transparent with you. And I feel very good about where we're at right now, and things are going well. But the point being is that oftentimes we do things, we invest in things, we choose things because we think it's what we need to do, because this person, that person, this, marketing piece said we need that, or because we start to believe that if we want what someone else has, we need to do a certain thing. But oftentimes the biggest thing that people need, it's not an investment, and it might be, but it needs to be for the right reasons and from the right energy. It's this, I need this to fix it. But the thing is you don't need to be fixed. You're not broken. And investing in growth, mentorship programs, learning, it's all about your own evolution, but it comes back to if you are investing in something because you're like, I need this to get there, you are outsourcing your power. And just like if you're saying, I want to be this person's friend because they're popular, because everybody likes them. I want people to look at me. I want to be seen. And I do encourage you to really anchor to the emotions behind that and what that's about so that you can release that. Because you in your power, you showing up, you saying, doing the things, investing in the things that you know are best for you, regardless of what anyone else thinks, says, or does. Like those are the things that make you magnetic. Your confidence, not even confidence. I remember one of my current mentors actually saying, she's like, people always tell me how confident I am. I'm not necessarily that confident. She's like, but I'm courageous. So, and that really hit me because we often think like even these really successful people are super confident, but that's not. It's courageous and self-trust. And that's what it comes down to. When you trust yourself, when you love yourself and know that nobody else matters, it comes back to you. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody else. You don't need to be where they are. You don't need to have what they have, but come back to yourself and say, am I happy with my life? Am I happy with where I am? If not, why not? Like what actually comes up for you? But it's not because you need this, because you need to make 100K, a million. And I'm not saying don't have goals. And my goals, it's changed, right? When I first started, I didn't need, to make 10K months, but then I wanted it, and then I hit that, and then I wanted the next level, and it's okay to do that, but it first, before you just keep chasing and chasing and chasing what you think is going to get you there, what's going to make you feel whole and complete, you need to ask yourself, if I never made it there, if I never got this, if I never did that, would I still love myself? Would I still be happy? Would I be content in my life? And if you can't say yes, no amount of investments, no amount of uh, outsourcing, no amount of work on your website, on getting clients, on showing up, on doing any of it matters. And these are the things that lead to burnout. These are the things that lead to, debt cycles, to looping patterns that you continue to find yourself in these situations where you're like, what the fuck? I thought I solved this. It's because it's not that you need another program, you need another strategy, another method, that you need another fix it when it comes to your business. You don't need to be in the it crowd. You don't need everybody to see you to be the best. You don't have to have all of the bells and whistles for people to want to work with you. But what you do need is that conviction, that knowing that I am so good at what I do, regardless of what anyone else or anything else outside of me is saying. If you are not grounded in your power, attracting clients, attracting partners, attracting money, and expecting those things to want to be in your world, to stick around, to magnetize to you, it doesn't work. And if it does, it's like, they go away because you expect it to go away, because you don't expect that you are the person that can have and fucking hold it all. And I can say this because I've lived it. And it's an ongoing battle for me still sometimes, of that questioning myself. But I know that I've come so far with this. And I truly believe that the women that end up in my world, whether it's on a YouTube video, whether you end up in my coaching, on one of my retreats, one of my free programs, it doesn't matter, is for this reason right here, is because you want to have more money. You want to have an amazing life. I mean, people look at my marriage and they like are just like, oh, you're so lucky and your husband takes care of you and this and that. It didn't come just from, chasing. It didn't come from forcing or trying to control circumstances, and some of it did. And the relationship probably started from an unhealthy pattern, and so therefore it's taken a lot of work in my marriage to get it to a point where it is really healthy and thriving from our power. And I'm sharing this with you because there, again, coming back to, there is nothing wrong with you. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to fix anything. Investing in your business, growing your business, reaching your next level. Stop trying so damn hard. And instead of focusing on what's outside of you when it comes to your success, in any area and start focusing within. Who do I need to be? What do I need to believe about myself in order to actually achieve that? Am I in line with that? Is that the version of me that I am right now of who and how I'm showing up? And if you can't 100% answer with a fucking solid yes, that is your work. That is the only thing that you need. It's it. And you might know, I also want to say, you might know a lot of these things. And you're like, yeah, but I'm so good at teaching my clients that, but I so struggle with myself. One of the biggest problems in this space is that you're so good. You're so good. And I know you're so good at helping others. But until you anchor in to be able to do that for yourself, you will continue in this loop, in this pattern, in this cycle, in this force, having to force things to work. And cosmically, energetically, what is happening in our world, like this is just going to get more intense. Like you've seen, like the pressure, the fire, the speed of things, shifting. And I know it, you can't deny it, even if you don't even believe in these things. The world is changing and it's just going to continue to do this. And I truly believe that our success, our future is grounded in our own individual power. And then beyond that, being able, when you can stand in your power, that's what can bring you together with the right people, whether it's collaborators, clients, mentors, so that you can co-create and build something beautiful together. So just wanted to, again, share this with you. If this message resonates, I would invite you to join me inside Unleashed and Authentically Expressed, which is my Telegram community. And it's amazing. Still fairly new little space. So there's a lot of opportunity to build relationships, to get support, and to really just step into your own unleashed and authentic expression, because that right there, that is you in your power, and that is what is going to change everything for you. I fucking guarantee it. And I don't guarantee a lot, but you in your power is the most magnetic, most powerful thing that you can have, that you can do, and that is going to change your life forever. Full stop, period. So join me inside there. And I do have a couple, depending on when you're watching this, I have a couple opportunities to work with me as well. But you can grab those inside that community or just message me over on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we can talk about how I can support you in this journey. But either way, have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you soon.